Hey everyone, Sharpie here. In the spring split of 2024, Immortals went 2-0 versus the super team roster of Cloud9, which was a huge surprise to everyone. As a big Immortals fan myself, I was thrilled to see this, but I wanted to discover how this double upset happened. And I think I found a major reason in why Cloud9's egotistical and sometimes disrespectful aggression is countered so well in both games by Immortals. Let's do a quick teamfight breakdown of their Week 3 matchup, where we saw that late game Baron contest that perfectly exemplified how to win a teamfight with zoning. Immortals has been stalling out the game for 36 minutes against a very powerful Varus Karma bot lane, and the dual shoving threats of Tristana and Udyr in mid and top, biding their time for the scaling composition of Ezreal Orianna with double supports and a full lethality Aatrox to hit their key power points. Critically, Immortals has had very good dragon control, seeding towers mid and top to secure Soul Point. After a very dicey mid lane fight which kills Vulcan and Castle and leaves Fudge and Blabber both very low on HP, Cloud9 is poked away from Mountain Soul and choose instead to try a Hail Mary rush towards the Baron. Despite the Baron pit being warded, Cloud9 determined that a Baron rush is their best play at the moment, and elect to try to snipe it down before Castle can respawn and teleport into the fight. Tactical, Olay, and Armeo quickly path through mid lane, and Mask, having recalled, teleports in as well, followed shortly by Castle's TP when he respawns, and here's where the magic begins to happen. Mask uses command attack aggressively, stepping forward and placing the ball between the tanks and damage dealers of Cloud9. This does two things. 1, it splits the carries away from the front line, and 2, it effectively stops the Baron from being taken, since the carries are now zoned away from the objective. Vulcan finally arrives to the fight, coaxing Berserker and Jojopyun to position even further away from the Baron next to the support instead, but at the same time, Armeo sends Daisy forward to continue putting pressure to keep the tanks in the Baron pit. Mask repositions the ball to the entrance of the pit and uses command dissonance to create a slowing field, making it even more difficult for Fudge Blabber to leave. Meanwhile, Castle's Aatrox has finally arrived, and Berserker, for some reason, elects to break off from his team to check Castle. Castle misses the first Q, but lands the Infernal Chains onto Berserker, forcing him to use heal to escape. And this is where everything breaks loose. Blabber, seeing an angle for a big engage, flash ults over the wall, catching both Tactical and Mask initially, but Tactical has perfectly timed his arcane shift to jump out of the range, avoiding any CC from Rel's Magnet Storm. Fudge comes charging forward as well, but because of the combination of Mask's ball and Castle's pressure on Berserker, the carries are still not in any position to take advantage of Blabber's aggressive play. Jojopyun steps forward looking to start the attack, but Castle pops the World Ender, casts his second Q, and flashes over the wall, landing the critical zone directly on top of Tristana. Now take a look at the fight here. Ever since the beginning when Immortals first showed up at the Baron pit, the carries have been zoned away from the front line, and here, a few seconds later, they still are, and along with Mask's ball placement, now Castle is also actively preventing both of Cloud9's damage dealers from having any impact on the fight. Jojopyun is forced to rocket jump backwards, and Castle dashes forward to kill Blabber, conveniently dodging Berserker's ultimate. Tactical casts his True Shot Barrage, slicing through both Berserker and Vulcan, dealing a significant amount of damage and signaling them both to forfeit the fight. Unfortunately, Jojopyun was not on the same page, and tries to walk forward and start hitting still, trusting Fudge to be the front line. But Mask still has the ball positioned in the middle of the river, and once Jojo is in range, Shockwave pulls him in to a certain death. Immortals would go on to also kill Fudge, and with death timers as high as 60 seconds, they run it down mid and end the game. Right here we can see a great example of how using zoning tools like Daisy, like the pressure of a high damage top laner, or things like Shockwave or the pressure even of Shockwave, can be used to effectively prevent a fight from ever happening in favor of the enemy team. That initial position that Mask used to push the ball forward was not intended to even do any damage, but rather to start setting up the fight, to start repositioning the enemy carries and put them exactly where you want them to be so they can't do any damage. This is the brilliance of what Immortals can bring to the table, and I think this sort of gameplay where they can win team fights strategically by playing smarter team fights and preventing the enemy team from ever being able to fight in the first place is what can make this team great, and I expect to see them excel at this even more and more as we approach the summer split. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next time.